everybody. We are getting started here in the conference room. Our agenda. All right, so we will call to order at 6:35. This is Marissa Caravallo speaking. So in attendance, we've got a quorum. Yep. All right, so we are going to jump right in, and I will go through our agenda for this evening and let me know if I missed anything, if we have any particular items to vote on that I didn't capture, but we are going to go through our meeting minutes. We have two to approve. We have our last board meeting from August, and then we had a special topic meeting on September 12th, which covered I'm just gonna close this door. The safety. Covered our school safety procedure policy on 9/12 to approve those minutes. Then I will hand it over to the admin team for overall updates, goals for the school year. I also have this special topic and vote for the financial audit. And between there, we have Karen. Is Karen on? I didn't check to see, but we've got a PTO update for Karen, and I think she had sent across some PTO guidelines for us to look at. And then if we separately need a financial update from Kevin, and then we'll go into our committee meetings. Any updates, any progress on our board goals? You know, we did have an interview today with a board candidate, which is very exciting. Thank you, Carla. And then anything from our other committees, Stacy will close us out, and hopefully we will adjourn by 8:30 or earlier. Anything, did I miss anything as far as agenda item or topic to vote on? Okay, so I will move into public comment. As you know, we have a set aside time for the public to provide comments with regards to our agenda, which you could follow along on board docs. And I did have an email come through for a public comment for me to read. So I'm going to do that from Jennifer Walker. So I wanted to take a minute to thank the teachers and staff of Secondary 2 for the most wonderful open house last week. The class presentations were interactive and fun. It was so nice to experience a glimpse of our students' high school schedule, see the personalized classrooms, and talk with the teachers and staff. Thank you, Secondary 2, for your dedication to our adolescents and our school community. Sincerely, Jennifer Walker. Awesome, thank you.
I would second that, Dr. John. By the way, my wife was super impressed with the secondary open house as well, so well received.
Awesome. Excellent. We got some hearts coming through on our Zoom. Any other public comments? All right. Okay, I will close our public comment offering section then, and we will move to our prior meeting minutes. Those are available on board docs, and they're also available for the public to see in draft copy, since we are committed to increased transparency of what we're discussing. So our first is to approve our August 20th board directors meeting.
There was a typo at the top, not to call out Kevin for not being here, but it says note present. Probably should just say not present.
Okay, yes, I can definitely fix that.
Because we did talk about Kevin behind his back.
Yeah.
Okay.
Somewhere down here it says he's more than qualified and will. I'm like, I don't know.
Doesn't have to be true.
Okay.
That's what it is.
All right.
That was the only thing I saw. That
I would like to motion to approve pending the correction of Kevin's status.
Second.
Okay.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Okay. Next is to approve our very brief special topic meeting. on 9/12, which covered our school safety.
We do have a similar typo for Scott.
Same typo.
Oh, okay, okay, that was just my copy and paste then.
Motion to approve the meeting minutes from September 12th.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
All right, thank you. So moving right along, that's where I turn over to the administration team. So Heather, I will.
Sure.
Pass it to
I'll
you.
go ahead and let Eileen, I think you had a couple of things to share since Miss Kathy isn't here today.
Hi guys. Yes.
Hello.
Hi everybody. Sorry, excuse my gym hair. Hi, I just want to do quick updates. So I loved hearing the feedback about secondary 2 open house or secondary 1 and 2 open house. We had ours last week. We had our upper elementary on Wednesday, and then we had our lower L and our primary on Thursday. And we had, similar feedback that parents were engaged. They really loved to see what was happening in the classrooms. They loved the lessons that teachers were giving. Really just gave insight into what their overall student experience is. A lot of the times it's easy to make a PowerPoint, and I think that information is still important. The schedule, the expectations, what lunch is like, all of that is really important, but those lessons and that engagement was really just important, and the feedback we got from that was great. So moving forward, we're excited to have more interactive experiences for our families in the community. And then just kind of speaking to our community, Kathy shared this with our staff this weekend at the kind of transition from the first lower elementary to primary on Thursday. A newer parent in our community had a car issue. The front of her bumper was like starting to kind of fall off just from how she had parked and was backing up. And we had 4 or 5 families who all were staying, they were helping. A father had some tools, so he was able to fix the bumper and kind of get it back attached. We had another parent who offered to drive home behind that car to make sure they got home safely. It was just like so lovely to see the grace, the courtesy, the kindness that we always talk about with our students. And then to see that in our parent community too. Really, it just made Kathy and I like teary, and our hearts were really happy. And one of the parents, very new, I think they have a first grader and they have somebody in primary this year who was going to wash his hands after helping. And, Kathy just said, "Thank you so much. Like, we really appreciate it." And he just said, "Of course, like, this is our community. Like, this is what we do." So I think it just speaks to the culture, the community, and that's for every single staff member, our amazing custodial team. Like, it's everybody who works so hard together to really just create that feeling. So it was like just a highlight moment for us. And we had another parent that was walking out of primary, and they were like, "Oh, it feels so good." And we were like, "Oh yeah, there's like a little breeze. It does feel nice." And they were like, "No, being in these classrooms, like it feels amazing. And you can feel the love, the care, the passion that every single educator, in all of our buildings have." And then so that was our long days on Wednesday, Thursday, and then Friday, we just capped it off with our Peace Day. And so I hope everyone got to see the awesome drone shots that Steven took. And we had our primary, they did it on the playground in the morning. And then all of our elementary kids got together and we made the real peace sign this year. So we're very excited about that. We made the Mercedes in the past. Then we all sang together, and it was really beautiful, and it really encapsulated, like, I think the whole week we felt like really just encapsulated why we all do this work, why the school that we have is just so important. So just wanted to share those 2 updates. So thank you for everyone who attended those open houses. Please continue to look forward to more parent family engagement opportunities this year.
Thank you, Eileen.
Yeah, went to the Upper L open house, and this is like our 9th year. I've been to a bunch of these things,
Yeah.
but this one was totally different. I mean, we actually sat and got a lesson, had to get the materials out, and do all the things that that the kids would be expected to do. So I thought it was cool, and I know I could just see and talk to some other parents in the classroom who are like really engaged and started asking a lot of questions that they may not have thought about otherwise. And so I thought it was cool.
Mhm.
You guys did a great job.
Excellent.
All right, Dr. Pagnotti.
Hey, everyone. Good afternoon or good evening. Feels like it still feels like it's morning. It's been just a great day. I just wanted to kind of briefly just mention two different things. First and foremost, thank you for the recognition and the shout outs for secondaries parent night. That was one of the things I wanted to mention this evening was how awesome. And I wasn't really sure what to expect. That was my first one. And we had a very good turnout. I think it was more than we'd ever had on that campus. So we just wanted to say thank you for everybody for coming. And as I was walking around and watching people kind of transition between their students' classrooms, I saw a lot of smiles, which is always a good measure of how people are feeling. Parents were excited, teachers were excited. There were a few students there, and that's always nice to see the parents and the students getting together and they're proud of what they're doing. And then mingling with teachers. So again, it was just a very quick snapshot. I think it was 6 or 7 minutes in each classroom. And then a 3-minute transition to kind of show parents how quickly these kids have to hustle from one class to the other. But again, it was a lot of fun. I was amazed. And like I said, I thought it was very successful. So thank you for everyone for coming if you were able to come. The other bit that I wanted to kind of update everybody on is our PLC progress and kind of the merging of both of our secondary 1 students and our secondary, not our students, our teachers and our secondary 2 teachers. Our PLCs are actually vertically aligned across grade levels, and those are all kicked off already. And again, it's nice to see. We weren't really quite sure what to expect, but it's really nice to see how all science teachers, grades 7 through 12, and all math teachers, grades 7 through 12, and social studies, and even our elective teachers are getting together and problem solving and working together for the betterment of our students. We're starting to see a lot of collaboration happening between different, secondary 1 and secondary 2 about balancing field trips and things like that. So we're starting to see a lot of great stuff. And I'm just so thankful for everybody's help on the faculty and the staff for making that happen. So good things. We're 6 weeks into the school year and it's actually fun coming to work every day. So thank you, everyone.
All right. So just a few more things. We are still working through our action plan. So I had the opportunity to meet with both campus administrators the last couple of weeks and kind of ensure that they're following through their goals. One of the big things was math in our Montessori scope and sequence. And I know that's something that Kathy and Eileen are working with staff to ensure is happening. We did get through our first round. I think there may be a few stragglers of testing, and big shout out to Natalie. She's our testing coordinator, and that takes a lot. And then Stephen supporting through the technology piece of things. And so what we'll do is break that apart and then start targeting. With that, I have already been working with our MTSS coordinator. They are doing a phenomenal job, and we are writing the MTSS system. It's a big change for our staff, and they are being very gracious through this change and reworking the process. But I think by the end of the year, we're going to have a solid MTSS system. And so I'm excited about that. It's just a lot of work, but we are really narrowing down what skills are students deficit in, and then what do we need to work through to get to those skills. And so that's a big piece. One of the other things that I am focusing on myself is also our ESE. So been reading through OCPS's policies and procedures to make myself familiar with the state of Florida versus what I previously knew. But then have meetings scheduled with our staffing specialist for the district already, and then also our staffing specialist starting to really look at our IEPs and 504 plans. So that's kind of the overall instructional piece. As far as Just looking safe and healthy culture. We are, just pushing along with our safety mandates. They did approve all of the stuff that we had that emergency meeting for. They have started their unannounced visits, so don't know when ours will be, but we do have that. And then the big thing too that Kathy, Eileen, and I met on is hosting that Montessori education event. And so we have that scheduled for October the 23rd. So we'll start putting that out soon. What we want it to do is be like a session rotation that parents can go and have staff presenting, but then also one of them being our community agreements that was created last year by the team. And so that will be taking place in October as well. So we'll start pushing that out. We're finalizing who's going to teach those sessions.
Say the 12th.
The 23rd.
23rd.
Yeah. We're looking at like 6 to 7:30 where parents can come in and attend those sessions. So that's kind of where we are on the big rocks. But next month, I would like to kind of share some data with you all to review where we're at. The quick snapshot that I've received, actually, Dr. Pagnotti's done a great job about updating me on the secondary side, and then Kathy as well. We are really doing a great job so far for PM1, especially in ELA. That's kind of our strong suit. But we have classrooms where 80% of the kids are already mastering the skills. So then it tells me, what are we going to do to push them and continue to them grow? So I'm excited about that. I think that's it for the updates. One more thing, a big shout out to all of our volunteers for stepping up and helping us mow. We're hoping to get that mower back this week. It's been pushed off because they were ordering a part, and that poor mower has been, the one from the high school has been coming, or the secondary campus has been going back and forth, but we're hopefully have it this week and we can get called back up on that. So that's.
How are our enrollment? That was one thing that we talked about last month.
Yes. So we are really trying to get, especially at the secondary 2, we are down 25 students. So we are working through, Cindy's working really, really hard about getting the kids, even if they're secondary 1 students, enrolled before the FTE window ends. And so they're slowly coming in. What that is causing, though, is our numbers are increasing in secondary 1. So we may have to make a shift, and that, I don't want to put panic out there to my staff. So I don't want them to be like, oh goodness, but that's something that John and Leanna and I will have to sit down and start looking at that schedule to say, are we going to have to tweak that because we have more secondary 1 students than secondary 2?
Okay.
So enrollment here, we did lose, but we have so many on the waiting list. So I think we'll be fine here. I was panicked at first because I saw the numbers, but then I think I made a typo because it looked like we were down like 25 students here too. And I'm like, what is going on? But it was me. I messed up on the primary numbers. Kathy keeps assuring me that we will be good here because we do have several students on the wait list here at each grade level. But we have 28 students on the wait list for secondary. And so we have 25 slots.
When's the FTE taken again? When's the last day to have that done?
October the 3rd?
Yeah.
3rd?
It's the 2nd.
2nd.
Oh,
Okay.
it's soon.
Yeah. So.
We down 25 since the start of the school year, or is that just from last year coming into
From
this
last
year?
year coming
That's
into
just
this year.
carryover?
Mhm.
So we didn't lose, it was not like we've lost 25 students since the beginning of school.
Oh, no. It's
Because we increased enrollment there,
Right.
actually.
Yeah,
right?
we
And so
did.
we opened up more spots, and
have-
so we haven't filled those spots per se,
Right.
really.
Yeah. So
The 28 waiting list is across all grades. That's
just
secondary.
7th through 9th. We don't have
It's
any.
primarily 7th and 8th grade, if I
Yeah.
can just kind of interject. I look at those numbers every day, and we're trying to be very poignant in making sure that we are a right fit. Because the worst thing for us is,
Yeah.
making sure that well, you know, we want to make sure that everybody who comes, that we can make sure that we provide a great education for them. So we are looking, and we are trying to get kids in.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's important than just taking times, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
We've been
Yeah.
down that path.
And that's, I kind of go back to the ESE thing. That's something that I want to ensure that I'm making sure, that we can serve all kids. And so that wait list too, you know, going through that as well. And yeah, so it is definitely you know, everybody's the right fit, but we still want to have students in the school and playing like the puzzle piece of where do we, you know, making sure we're not overcrowding classrooms either.
It seems like it might be something we want to consider as part of our goal at some point, is like, how do we grow that wait list? Like, what do we do to that program to make it to where it's now got its own wait list, like we have at the elementary level? Because like, we want that program to have the things that draw the same, you know, demand that we get here, so.
Yeah. And I will say, I think, John has, already started thinking outside the box, and we've already brought, some people in to start looking at what can we offer and certifications and those kind of things. You know, I think it'll take time to build, but we at least have some of those plans starting to be put in place. So I think over time we'll never be able to compete with large high schools, but I do think opening up some of those others. I know Cindy has put together lots of nights coming up, and she'll give kids options, and to, again, just to think outside of the box of things, of making sure that if they want it, we can find a way for them to get it. And I was excited. So on the night of the high school was also a volleyball game. So I have to shout out to the volleyball girls at the high school. I don't know if you've got to go see a game, but our student section was phenomenal. It was so exciting to watch them come together. They're going to be really good, you know, as they grow. So just had to put that little plug in there, you know, it was exciting if you get a chance. I know senior night's coming up soon.
Over 7th.
Yeah. So if you can come on out, I know the girls would love it.
All right, is that it for? All right, thanks, Heather. I had the PTO update, but I am not seeing. Is anyone on from the PTO?
I think Michelle is, but I didn't see Karen.
She might have gotten thrown off by the Monday meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I see that she's
she's
the
sent.
document, right? Like I pulled that up where, does anybody know if that was in like a new document that she has created this year? Or is that the previous document that they've just, adjusted?
Oh, I wrote the previous one, so I could take it. Okay, yeah, that was not the ones that I wrote. So.
And so then it has like all the articles based on.
Yeah, it looks like it's been revised since I last
Okay.
touched it, so, yeah.
Okay. I think she was just sharing that with us. I mean, it doesn't require.
I don't
vote on
remember
our part
voting
to-
on
I
that.
don't think
To
it does,
approve.
It's just an FYI.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
their decision on how they want to run their PTO, pretty much.
Okay. Well, it's out in public comment for anybody who wants to get a deep dive on the PTO
Mhm.
structure and governance and whatnot.
And then I think if you're on PTO, just the update of the new date, you would probably know it off the top of your head for Fall Fest for everybody.
November 9th, I think.
Yeah. So just add that in there for them.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Kate.
No, you're welcome.
I guess that moves us to our big topic of the evening, which is our financial audit.
Right,
Maybe.
so I did print some of the copies for you guys. You have the whole packet, but then you have just a snapshot of what I want to talk about. Kevin, interject anytime you want. So we're going to look at the Innovation Montessori as an overall first. So will just look like that with this draft. Yeah.
Innovation Montessori Co. Inc.
Yes.
Mhm.
We don't have
Yeah.
one?
Okay. Great.
So we're gonna start. Yeah, yeah. This is a draft though, like we've still got a few, he said numbers won't change. But as, we were talking earlier, there are some typos in there that we want to get corrected. But we're gonna start on page 3. And then I'm gonna share all of the information that he has shared with Lily and I know Lily is on here, and, so I told her to be prepared to be able to answer any questions. So on the first part, if you'll kind of look at the highlights for 2024, the first part was the school's overall net position decreased by $116,706. I really started to panic on that, but then once I understood the why, and we'll talk about that, that it's okay, it's due to our assets, so, which is, I guess, planned. As you go through to, you'll see our net position was $736,034. And then our total expenses compared to revenue, the number of students, and then CASA. And so we'll kind of go through these to explain what those highlights mean. So if you look at the next page on page 4, this is where it was all broken down and it compared 23 and 24 school year. One of the big highlights, you'll see the negative 92,356 over the total net position. He would indicate that was because of our assets. And so where we had construction from our bonds, those sorts of things, that it's going to be flipped for a little bit and then it should correct itself. Because we're putting, like, to our construction last year, if you think about Fuller Cross and what we did with that, we were putting money into that. But it was a debt, so we're not there, like, it's not an asset yet. Yeah.
And this is net of depreciation.
Yes.
So every year from the beginning of any asset, we have these big buildings until the end of their useful life, which is probably 30 years.
Mhm.
There's a straight line decrease in the value of that asset. So at some point, your balance sheet will show that this building has no value. It doesn't really have no value. It's just
Right.
the accounting way of costing that out over the useful life of the building. So we've had that before in conversations in this boardroom where
Okay.
you see these big depreciation numbers and it's a big negative number. That's not cash. That's not money coming out of our pocket. It's just that that's the amount of the 30 years worth of this building that we've used up in this year.
Okay.
So 1/30 of that comes off our balance sheet. So that's probably the biggest chunk of the decrease in that position.
Yeah.
I think what you're saying is we did have cash out the door for Fuller's Cross last year, but that asset hasn't shown up on the
Right.
balance sheet yet to.
So it works
offset
both
that,
ways.
so, yeah,
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
so it's not in service yet.
Right. And so, because I'm going to be honest, when I read that at first, I'm like, wait a minute, we've done all this work and now you're telling me we're in the negative. But then as he explained it to Lily and she explained it to me, I'm like, okay, that makes more sense. So I just wanted to point at that out on page 4 of that. That's kind of where that negative number came from. On page.
Sorry, can I just ask real quick,
Yeah.
better talk about that, the non-capital, I get the capital assets too, it's not, what would be in the non-capital assets that went from 1,000,003 to 4.1, we went up pretty significantly in the non-capital assets, what falls in that bucket? You know?
That'd be staffing.
No, it's
No.
everything else.
That's what, there's a list, I was gonna try to find that had
fine,
that
just know right
listed,
now.
yeah, it's in here, it is,
That would have seemed good, but,
yeah.
because I'm
I did see
assuming
it.
27 to 24, Kevin, is that's our expected natural decrease in.
Normally, like that would be like our cash, our prepaids, our receivables and things like that.
Yeah,
That's
that's
what
on
falls
page-
under the non-capital assets.
Yeah. So
And
on,
then the capital assets are all our property, our land and equipment.
Is that just FTEs that haven't arrived yet?
for the assets? No, that would have been all just for last year only. So what he
Because we
had,
more receivables from
At year end?
yeah,
Ether or something last year. that
we
got
did get
paid on.
more from ESSER. If you, I don't know if you have it, but on page 14, it kind of lists out the capital assets and then talking about the appreciation that Kevin was talking about. It was on the, I don't think I printed it on the short version,
Yeah,
but
that's fine.
like the buildings, how long they're good for, and then it talks about the cash, the prepaid. Yeah. And then FTE.
But Kevin, to your point, as we depreciate the asset, we're also paying down the debt on the asset, so those should catch up.
And that's why it
right, in 30
flips.
years, right?
That's why it flips. So right now, just like your mortgage, the
Mm-hmm.
amount of principal that we're paying down on the outstanding debt is relatively low. And so
In a perfect world, those meet right at the end at 30 years. And
one's on a curve and one isn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you go to page 5, it kind of breaks down even more like the surplus, the general fund. You'll see under the governmental activities, that's that part where we generated the 1.2 million in program revenues for the total of 11 million. And then that kind of talked even more into what resulted the 116,000 net position, the decrease. And so that's on page 11. There's more on page 9 that will break that down for you as you start to have questions and look through there. That will show you what that was. The general fund balance, it increased with the deficit of last year, 213,000 to surplus. And so I thought that was huge.
Mhm.
The non-capital assets
Mhm.
is all cash. So there's cash that's unrestricted in the bank,
Mhm.
but then our bond related accounts. So
Mhm.
a lot of that's your debt service fund,
Mhm.
the amount that we've been escrowing to make debt service payments. At the beginning, we didn't have to make big debt service payments, but that really started to kick in. So the
Yeah.
almost 3 million of that $4 million number is bond reserve accounts.
So I was gonna say, that was one of the things that, because we did do that last year, remember in July, the 1.9 million that we put over. I think that would be accounted for there as well.
That's perfect.
Yeah. Page 6 was just, again, breaking down the whole assets to show the 92,000 deficit, but, you know, we've already kind of talked about what that was. And
you see the
then,
bond reserve.
yeah. Yeah.
Got ahead of the presentation.
Hey, that's okay. I was already doing it. That's fine. That's fine. I think the biggest takeaway out of all of it was, at the end of the day, I kept saying, okay, where did we end? You know, I know like the depreciation, I'm not gonna say I understand it. I know this much of it, but on page 10, I think the biggest thing for me, the net change was last year or in the past, of course, we were a lot lower. We ended net change in our fund balance of $324,815. So, which is right along with, if you remember when we approved our budget in November, that was our goal of trying to put back. And so that was the biggest takeaway for me, is that we actually ended with that surplus. The page 10 also is just focused just on the year, whereas a lot of it is over multiple years. I didn't know what that was. Oh, goodness. Yeah. So on page 10 is all of just this year's information, whereas some of it is built over years. And so that was very beneficial for me to go through and say, okay, is that what we budgeted? Did it line up with what we said we were going to do? And so overall, it lined up pretty close. So when we planned that budget. Now, in this one too, you'll see that he has a line for CASA. But then CASA will also have their separate. The only thing about CASA we need to remember, even when we start to look at their separate, we generate funds in CASA, of course, our local and state funds, but a lot of the extra comes out of IMO, and then we just invoice them. So our staffing, our electricity, all of that doesn't really is not billed directly to CASA. We invoice CASA and then pay IMO back. So that's kind of how, so that you'll see that the CASA one is a lot smaller. And then on a page 11, that then just breaks down. You can see that our overall net fund balance was 324,815. But then as you subtract some of those depreciation values is how we got to the 116,706.
From the auditor's standpoint, was there any concerns that he brought forward that we would to be aware of?
The only thing that he said to us was what was on the back, but I have already kind of questioned, was about during the review of the budget, we noted that CASA preschool budget did not include an amount for revenues. But, so we do our budget where CASA and IMO are together. And there's line items in there for BPK funding, and then, you know, parent pay funding. So I'm not sure what the confusion was because we don't have a separate budget for
Right.
CASA.
Sure.
Yeah. And so I'm going to kind of question to say, hey, what do you mean by that? Because we do have that in the local and state fund revenues. It was on both CASA and this one. That was the only recommendations that we had. One of the things through the process, even though it was really grueling, was it did force Lily and I to create, and mostly Lily, some procedures of making sure that we are following those is collecting money and who signs off and those kind of things, which we already thought we had a pretty good system, but it helped us kind of tweak some of those. You know, it's been a change for people and that's been tough because that wasn't kind of like that before, but now like when a student submits money, they are signing like, hey, we did submit the money and those kind of things that we didn't have in the past. That.
So is there a concern then on his part that we would have an issue moving forward if we don't have two separate accounts?
No, I think once he wrapped his head around how we do it,
That we're allocating each individual funding source in there?
Right.
Okay.
At first he thought we would have to have separate, and then Kevin Luger from Building Hope was like, no, we don't have to. So they kind of worked that out. And so he explained it as if you were a university, you would have your overall audit, and then a subset would be like the individual department, and that would kind of be how CASA would be for us. Because we've talked back and forth, do we have to have a budget for CASA? Do we not? And Building Hope advised, no, you don't have to have your own because it's in there. But I think that caused him a little confusion at first, but once he figured out how that was.
And I'm assuming the auditor was able to validate like our bond requirements.
Well, we're going to talk about that.
Oh, okay.
Yep. So I'm glad you segued right into that. So we do have our debt covenant calculations. That's a separate form. And
Oh, yeah.
so that was the so the debt service coverage was 1.60, and then the days cash on hand landed at 49.17
It
days.
was better than
Yeah.
at 46, right?
Yeah.
Nice.
So, and if you remember, our bond covenant was a 1 to 1.10 or 45 days. He has 30 listed, but it should be 45 days. Was our
So
bond
we're
covenant.
exceeding both of those now.
Yes.
Great.
And then we'll discuss it at our finance committee meeting, but I don't know if you heard that last month we landed at 55 days. So we hopefully are going to tread right in there and where we need to be. Yeah. Kevin, is there anything you want to add to that? You probably have a better understanding than I do.
No, I mean, I think generally what the auditors always say when they walk in is that they have looked at your financial statements and have determined that they, in all material respects, fairly present the financial condition of the organization, and that's how our audit report starts. You know, that's how it begins. And the only thing they mentioned, which they did not call a material weakness, which would be bad, they just said it was a deficiency, was this CASA budget. I'm sure that in the future, if they want us to, we'd be happy to roll up the revenues of CASA and have a little illustration in our budget. That would not be hard to do.
Yeah.
But it certainly doesn't speak to any financial weakness at all. I do have some questions about the covenant exhibit that we'll address later, but looking at all the information, I think we're clearly passing our covenants, which is all we can really ask to do. And based on the financials that we won't really have a chance to talk about today because we got them a few minutes ago, but
Yeah.
that we'll be presenting tomorrow. And then usually, I think our practice just is we don't really bring things to the board until the finance committee is
Right.
looked and approved. But based on those drafts, it looks like we're better off this month than we were last month. You know,
Mhm.
as Heather mentioned, another 15 days or so of cash on hand. So I think we can be pleased with this. I hope we can clarify those things and not have a deficiency sheet, because that's always a good feeling. But
Right,
if it is one, it's one we can remedy quickly.
yeah. And then just CASA, have that one. Page 3 was the highlights there. So we increased our overall net position by $302,564.
That's what I'm focusing.
Yeah. And then you can see the revenue for expenses last year compared to the revenue. And then on page 4 was the comparison sheet for the 2 years for the analysis. So you can see in 2023, we were at 137,314 ending net position, and now we're at 439. Okay.
And that's being driven by our additional classrooms in CASA. Is there
Trying to think.
increased revenue?
Yes,
Yeah.
because last year was the first year of those. So yes.
Why was there no VPK revenue last year?
Was it combined?
I think they did. So that's the only thing when I was talking to Dana from Building Hope. So we have to remember it's 2 new auditors too, and then the way they've done it in the past. I do think last year it looked a little different. And so it's really hard to compare apples to apples this year because it is a new auditor.
If you're on page 4, looking at the table.
Yeah.
This program revenues number was quite a bit bigger. That's because they combined those two
Oh,
lines,
okay.
I think.
Expenses were down on CASA. And
Revenue is up.
But
So
we didn't go from 500,000 of construction expenses to 277. That's really good.
no, again, I think it's the way we invoice.
I just have to say, you've done in the last year, like, just an incredible job of, stabilizing things financially. I know this isn't really probably what you thought you were signing up for at all. So just,
Yeah.
I think really fantastic work you've done and helping us navigate this. But I also just want to say, like, the transparency and just the level of information sharing here is really helpful.
I
And
appreciate
I
that.
think
I definitely couldn't do it without my team.
Yeah. Kudos to your team as
Thank
well.
you. Yeah, absolutely. Other questions? So this draft, there are some typos in here that we have to go through, and then maybe tomorrow at the finance committee, we'll clean it all up and then get it sent to the state.
So we need a vote, right? Is that what you said?
That's what so
To
this year
approve
to approve the
submission of the audit
audit.
as written pending
What's the timing requirement over there for us?
October 1st.
Sure.
It's really quick.
I know.
But he was delayed, and that's why, because so he should have had this 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
But he couldn't because he didn't have what was his, that you had to go back and re-pull from him or something or something.
Well, we had to go through and clean up, so some of the stuff was coded to miscellaneous,
that's
and
what it
so we
was,
had
the
to spend a lot of
coding.
time. He was supposed to have it last week, but I had,
There were some coding issues with the way Building Hope had actually coded some things to not correlate with the actual coding that it should have been. So then
Is
Heather
October,
had to actually recode some stuff when Building Hope should have
is
really
October
recoded it.
first a requirement of our charter? Does OCPS want us to do it by October first?
I don't think so. I think that's what it says.
State website?
State, yeah, I think that's a
Report.
state reporting date that you have to have it reported by October 1st.
Yeah, this says March 25th.
It's 9 months in statute. And it's
Oh.
180 days in our bond adventure.
As for knowledge, as of September 24th. Following residents, okay.
I would move to accept this other report and then transmit it, subject to the corrections we've talked about tonight.
Second that.
All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Give Marissa a second to get
Yeah,
that
give me
written down.
one
Yeah, no worries.
Um,
Just you and me?
I think it's them. I think it's him. Like he'll do one and we do one.
So is it me? that
Yeah.
way?
So your motion was to approve the audit for submittal. Okay.
Because we didn't have to do that last year. And as far as other finance stuff, while you were doing that, we do have our finance committee meeting tomorrow. I just submitted our last ESSER submission. It was like, I think we have $7,000 left over, so I submitted that today. Some staff did receive a grant called SSIG, and it was a grant that was given to OCPS of $6 million to go to staff that had students scoring a 3, 4, or 5 on their end of the year assessment in math and reading grades K through 10. And so we
Percentage? Yeah, get a percentage.
just $50 per child.
Oh. okay.
Yeah, and so we, I think our total was like 28,000.
Nice.
Wow. Is that a continuation that they're looking to have? I mean, there's
I don't know. That's
some
that's my
hardcore
biggest-
motivation. If I get $50 per kiddo that
Right.
passes those,
Yeah.
yeah,
So
my kids are passing.
passing.
Like a pizza test money right there. you
Yeah,
know?
absolutely. So yeah, so that also went out today, or the staff got it last week, but today was
Vacation. Well, that'd be thinking about.
um,
My vacation fund.
Just a couple more things. I don't think we had met since we had our last finance meeting. Working closely with Building Hope, as Stacy kind of alluded to, there was some coding issues. We now have that worked out. We do have a new person on Building Hope working with us directly, ensuring that everything is coded where it should be. And so those reports, we just received them today for tomorrow's meeting, but it was because they wanted to make sure they were all clean. And so we'll have a true picture of things are allocated to where they should be. And so at our next board meeting, we'll share with you all those updated financial statements.
And the new person seems to be working out fine. for
Yeah,
us.
so
Okay.
far, yeah. Yeah, we have several systems put in place to do some checks and balances prior to us receiving them. So I think that'll be helpful too.
It doesn't require you to recode.
Yeah, it doesn't require any of us to recode anything, hopefully. And so I think that'll help. And the same thing with payroll. Just we have a new person with payroll as well. And so cleaning up some of those processes and so,
That works.
I didn't even share the governance conference. The presentation went well.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so it went well. I was asked to speak at the charter school conference,
Yeah.
but that's
No
backed up. to-
stipend either, right?
No.
Next year you gotta get on a
No,
stipend for that.
Yeah.
So tell us more. So you spoke at a governance conference?
Yeah, so the Florida Governance Conference. Did you have any of them?
Mm-hmm,
Yeah.
the virtual one.
Yeah.
Mhm. I think
Yeah.
I might have the recording of it.
Yeah, well, you don't have to share that.
Yeah.
So what did you cover?
Just over, I presented with Dana, but just over kind of where we started and
Oh,
the
okay,
steps
the
we've
journey of
taken. Mhm.
this past year.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So,
Okay.
it was exciting because I did meet, several other people and they have contacted to say, hey, can you help? Like, how did you do this? Like one school was kicked out right before school started of their building.
Oh,
And the
wow.
process of building. And so they serve only ESE kids and they had to split and caused all kinds of issues. So it's just, that was beneficial to hear and talk through with them and stuff. So, yeah.
Yeah.
And there were some good sessions. I don't know, that school, I don't know if you've ever been to, it's called High Tech.
It's
Something
down,
like
it's
that.
down in Osceola.
Yeah.
No, I'm
it
thinking
was
New York
West
City.
Palm.
West Palm, yeah,
Yeah.
never mind, yeah. Mhm.
But it was all, like, the kids did it all. The culinary kids served the food, the
Mhm.
photography team was there, the chorus was there performing. So it was really a neat, just to see what another high school had to offer. And it was really, really cool.
Awesome.
Yeah. Oh.
Excellent.
Sounds good.
All right, thanks, Heather. All right, so we've covered the finance update as well, so they'll move right along to our 4 key board goals for 2024-25. So we have those in board docs here. So maintain a strong set of BOD members between 6 and 8. So do we want to talk about a vote next week, or what's
Yeah, I
our
think we'll
plan
need
of?
to put a vote on the calendar for next week
Okay.
or for next month. That gives you time to do reference checks and then have a brief discussion regarding references and follow up before voting.
Okay.
October.
It's soon. It's
Like-
it's early. It's
it's
like
like-
the 8th, I think.
Yeah. Does that give you enough time?
I'll make it work. I'll start tomorrow.
Look, I don't know how to do it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's 2 weeks from tomorrow.
Yeah, that one comes at, because we push this one back.
Yeah, and that one's early. Okay. Anything else on there?
And have we had any other interest that's reached out?
The 2 others bowed out.
Okay.
Due to time commitment, and then another one
Yeah.
there's like a conflict.
Yep.
Yeah.
Should we continue to recruit?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Okay, do we want to have another formal
Post.
post?
That would be good.
Um,
Don't give me a timeline.
no, it's just
Okay.
a while back, we had reached out to Edith Bush Foundation over at Rollins College, and they help nonprofits find board members too.
Okay.
So it's maybe something we would want to revisit to just look at finding some any external options as well. There's
Yeah.
people can go work with them if there's people seeking board positions.
Right.
They help match up. So
Trying to see if I have
Probably
their
something we could
contact
look into.
information in here.
I saw Kristen Chase on this call
Yeah.
a minute ago, but I
Is
don't
she
see her
on again?
anymore.
It's not.
But she would know.
She would have that contact information. I'm just seeing if I have that.
We worked through like a person that had come and done, did some
Mhm.
board training with us from Edith Bush one time, but like there's a contact there I think we can connect with. I think that'd be worth checking out.
I have.
I can also search. I have Kristen's only inbox when she was secretary.
Yeah, yeah.
How was your treasury cross training going? Or did you need any cross training? That was one of our goals was cross training and
Knowledge. for-
Anne
Yeah.
Hughes, does that sound right?
Good,
Maybe.
She's with the Crummer Graduate School.
The Edith Bush is part of Crummer.
No, yeah, she's
Yeah.
she's part of Edith Bush.
Yeah.
It's in her business title. I was just wondering
Yeah,
if
yeah.
that was.
Could be.
I can send this one to.
I just remember the person that we worked with, it was like the trainer.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to think about.
Solid name. Yeah.
I can
Trust
reach out
those
to her.
kids.
we bring cookies.
Noted.
I'm just gonna email her
Gee, that's how we do.
regardless.
Perfect. A good one.
Oh.
Personally, yeah.
I mean, our
Think that would be something else.
other goals monitor and support IMO's stable financial outlook, board succession planning and cross training, and support the executive director to establish and monitor accountability metrics for financials, academics, and communications.
I think it'd be
Here's what I just found. They have a section on Crummer's or Edith Bush site called Nonprofit Board Finder. And people can,
Okay.
I think we can post there. We have
Oh.
to, we have to probably
okay.
find, we post, hey, we're looking, and then people can
Mhm.
apply that
Yeah.
are looking there, so. A little bit,
Yeah.
I don't remember exactly how we went about it, but. Thought we had a membership as a organization, or if it's something we had to pay for. Might be something we have to.
Yeah, you have to pay.
Yeah.
Lily, are we still
Yeah.
paying for that? She might know faster than me. Maybe
Heather
she's
cut
still
that-
on there.
Heather cut that a long time.
Yeah, wait, she's coming on. Edith Bush.
Are we still paying for what?
Edith Bush. You seen that
No.
line item?
No, have not.
Well, let's find out what it is.
Yeah. I'm still getting I still get the
Fundraise for
emails
it.
like from it, yeah. Post. Control.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything for Edith Bush or Rollins College, so.
Okay. Except for your own tuition or invoices.
Yeah.
Kudos to her daughter who's now attending Rollins.
Oh, yeah.
Control. Okay. And then small update you had here on the next one, annual giving or something. So what did you want to go
Sure,
over?
I can go over that. So moving along to the committees, so annual giving, we did a little update last week, if you guys saw it, about like what we've raised to date since November of 23. And happy to say we raised even more last week. And so we're at around 18,000 for the 10 months since we started the annual giving reboot, I would say.
Mhm.
So Heather and I have started to email about November will be here again, and
Mhm.
what do we want to focus on for our next cycle of annual giving.
Mhm.
And so we're currently talking computers. We're still
Mhm.
going back and forth on what that would look like.
How have the iPads been for testing?
If Steven's on here, he'll probably shout out, but phenomenal.
Okay, good.
I feel like we're Oprah. You get an iPad and you get an iPad.
Michael was very
He was
excited to
on.
get an iPad.
Yes,
I'm not gonna
yes,
lie.
yes.
Yeah,
So, yeah, I think overall, listening to Natalie and Stephen talk, like the ease of testing was so much better.
Okay.
Yeah.
That would maybe be.
But we do have to think about the fleet of laptops are gonna start cycling out next year.
Yeah.
And there's no more ESSER money to
Yeah.
start replacing that, so kind of thought about that maybe one of the things that we need to go start looking at is how we're gonna replace, they start pulling out.
I mean, do we not have them in kind of like?
They are, it's
waves?
just cycles, like, so I
Start
think,
in the first year of
I think
end of life.
secondary one is next. He's gonna kill me because he's told me 100 times what this is. But I think secondary one is next, and then Steven's on here.
come on.
Just
I heard
talk.
laughing. Laughing right now. I love Terry struggle.
Yeah, that's exactly what he was doing.
No, I'll answer that for you, Heather. Yeah, you're exactly right. Brett, we're on a 4-year life cycle for all of the student devices. That was something that I did when I first got here. The challenge is just because of the limited financial position we were in, we bought some cheaper Dell hardware that, we kind of knew at the time was not necessarily going to meet the needs long-term in high school. The iPads are a wonderful tool, and especially in our model, seeing the kids be able to move around the classroom and work with the materials, but also with the technology is so awesome. So kind of, my vision would be, continue the iPad rollout, move that into secondary 1, and then leave secondary 2 on some higher end laptops, kind of looking into year 2, 3 in that life cycle. Does that make sense?
And they have like life proof cases on them that are not allowed to come off, right? Okay.
Yeah. So the iPads, the warranty on it is actually better than what we have with the Dells. We luckily have not had any breakage yet, Stacy, but the way that it works is they break it, Apple ships me another one, and I have it in my hand about 24 hours after I report it. So we're not taking devices away from the classrooms. The feedback we've gotten from the teachers has just been amazing. And this was one of our smoothest PMs ever for testing, especially with the iPads on the elementary campus.
Well, sounds like that needs to be one of our pushes for the fall then.
Yeah, I guess I'll just share like logistically I have to figure out Zephy because we have about 24, 25 monthly donors that I would have to or somehow communicate to shift them to be like we have to retire our current form and hope that they re-sign up monthly on the next form, which now that it's
Can't they
like
cancel at any time?
Yeah, they can. You just like you don't want to create friction whenever you've got almost $900 coming in a month, but we will need to do that. So I want to think of a way
An opt-in or an opt-out maybe, like opt in to canceling, and if you opt in, then we will cancel it for you or something.
Well, we probably can't.
We can't if it's linked to their bank accounts. Yeah,
Okay.
so they have to go and re-sign up. So I don't know what the answer is, but maybe there's a way to kind of create it so that it does not have to be reset up like every year.
Right. That's what I'm
so
thinking,
it's
you're already set it up. Please don't cancel mine and make me set it up again, right? Like,
yeah, exactly. But we are dealing with a free tool, so
yeah,
we'll have to see what we can do.
Keep that and then just create a new one too? Or does this one automatically cancel when you create this one?
No, I can technically leave it live.
Or could we just modify the existing form?
We could do that too. Just the amount will just continue to accumulate, which is probably okay. I mean, there's probably options. I just haven't really looked at it deeply, but just something I was thinking
well, and you're
about.
trying to be super transparent with us. I get it too, right? Like you're trying to be clear on what their money is going towards, and so that makes sense too.
Yep. Yeah, so let's see. So our development committee meeting meets tomorrow night. Anyone's on, who wants to join me again. We did talk about an auction raffle to kick off the next cycle. And the idea was to have art or some kind of offering by classroom. And so we were waiting on the new art teacher. I'm not sure. when's it appropriate to hit up the New York teacher or like how to start that conversation, but, or if they've started or, huh? Oh, no. Okay. Okay, we'll pause that
Maybe
conversation.
One
each
day.
Oh, wow.
room or room parent kind of could orchestrate like some sort of basket that each room puts together a
okay.
basket for the raffle. Like I know, like, you know, if I was at my conference, but it's getting canceled because of a hurricane, you know, like so each schoolhouse would provide a basket and that would be raffled off for the foundation. So like it could be something like you know, like here's you hit the jackpot and it's a whole bunch of just like gift cards and lottery tickets. And that's the basket. Or, you know, a picnic in the park and it's a picnic basket with maybe like, you know, a Publix thing and a bottle of wine or, you know, whatever it is, you know, like, so you could have each classroom create their own basket
Okay,
and then we could raffle off the baskets.
good idea. Okay.
We've done baskets for years and they're really cute,
Yeah.
super way. And, you know, you can choose, I don't know if there's I'm sure there's a system that would allow you to like choose which one you're putting your ticket into. Like, oh, I want to put 5 tickets into that one, right? Or I want to put 10 tickets into that one.
Yep.
So that would be the only thing we'd have to find a virtual option for that.
Yeah,
Yeah, they're
actually
definitely
Zephy
virtual,
does
yeah.
have that. They
Mhm.
have that as an option as well.
Okay.
When I was on the PTO, there was a really big hit of a raffle that had a lot of different like services, like
Mhm.
have lunch with
Miss
Miss
Kathy.
Kathy,
Yeah.
and you know, Coach B will give you 10 lessons.
Yeah.
Sorry, Coach B, that was not one of them. And like people donated, you know, all sorts of like tickets for sports games. So
Yeah.
it was a mix of like community members donating some
Mhm.
big ticket items. There was like
Universal passes.
sports things
Yeah,
that I don't know
yeah,
about,
right,
and
yeah.
yes, universal tickets and
Mhm.
art and all sorts of stuff. But yeah, then also like lots of kind of low budget things from the community that had a pretty big popularity. So
Mhm.
yeah, I don't know if there's an element of that could be done too. I'll take someone out to lunch.
Like maybe a special spot for parent pickup that you don't have to wait in line.
reserved parking spot.
Ah,
Someone who really likes,
Ticket item.
yeah.
right? Someone who really likes decorating for the holidays could like offer up
$1,000 bucks.
decorating things.
Mhm.
I think we would walk your kid up. There you go. For the right amount of money, I'll walk them every day.
Fine.
Valet parking by Miss Smith.
Like, I will do it.
Feeding starts at 5,000.
So I'll just also note the last sentence. So we want to do some kind of engagement around our high donors, and just looking at the 18 grand that we've made. It's come from 75% of that has come from like 30 people.
Yeah.
So it's pretty extraordinary. So it's like you want to engage that population for sure as we're like building up this snowball of giving, right? And expand that high giving population.
Happy hour?
Yeah, something.
Yeah.
Not again.
A donors kind of night out of some
Yeah.
sort. Yeah.
Road, whatever.
Yeah, toll road, donors night.
Okay.
We do like 2 rounds or something, or you know, for everybody, for all the donors that come, and just for the, you know, mingle of some sort.
Okay. I haven't heard of this toll road, but
It's
live
right next
close
to
to it.
DG and Pelican. It's right there. In Ocoee, it's like
Okay.
5 minutes away.
Downtown.
Downtown Ocoee.
Oh, okay.
Bustling intersection of
Mhm.
downtown Ocoee.
Yeah. And it's not as busy as like a Cricket Can or something, so it would be much more feasible for us to.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, that's my my update. Any questions?
That sounds great.
Okay. You were kicking yours off. You want to say anything?
Yeah, sure. So our grant writing committee is kicking off for the year this Thursday. So I'm gonna see if I can get that into the newsletter this week with an update about that. So we're gonna be meeting. Our overarching goals this year are pretty open. So we're just kind of gonna be, although I'm hearing tech. And yeah, what are there? I know we definitely don't want to limit it, but is there anything at all that we can think of as a need? Aside from tech.
A lawnmower?
A lawnmower?
Lawnmower. Actually, there is a gardening one.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of gardening.
There's a
ones, I
lot of
remember.
gardening ones.
Another big thing
Yeah.
that we're gonna have to start looking at, actually two things. One, start looking at replacing our picnic tables.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. I just said that.
Yeah.
That is my order hot lunch alarm because sometimes I forget to order hot lunch on Mondays at 7.
And then I really want to get the primary building turf over up against their building
Mhm.
where they can sit on their picnic tables and stuff, because it gets,
Artificial turf or natural?
Yeah.
Okay.
it's kind of like what you have out here.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I would have never dreamed that it was so expensive until I looked at what we paid out here, and I'm like, can you not go to Lowe's and just roll that out?
Yeah.
Yeah. Tito told
Because
me.
I do know a sod person, but
Yeah,
A
no.
turf guy, I can ask him.
Okay.
if he
Yeah,
can come
like
give
a
us a
section.
guy.
Sounds like a Saturday event for some parents to
Yeah.
lay some turf.
and
We
as
have
far
to
as
purchase the turf,
Yeah.
but and like the turf place right up here in Ocoee is very expensive as well.
Yeah.
I've had them come and do estimates when we put our turf in, and
Yeah.
it's steep, depending
Yeah.
on what level of that you get.
At your house.
No, I have it in my house.
I need turf.
You kidding me? As many soccer balls as, no, we have turf.
As
um,
much money as I spend on grass and lawn
Yeah,
mowing,
yeah.
watering. It's
Yeah.
for these picnic tables, do we think they need to be replaced or just can some of them be rescued?
I honestly don't know. I just happened to walk by and thought, oh my gosh. We bought the recycled benches out front at the high school with the last funds, and I thought if we could get something like that for
Yeah.
back here that would last longer.
And so, yeah, so not.
Recycled milk jugs.
Yeah. But if somebody can fix those,
I was gonna
then
say, in the
absolutely.
meantime,
Yeah.
should we also put out to see if someone can like sand and stain these guys? I mean, what about kids getting like splinters in their legs?
Something. We've got to do, yeah, we've got to do something, because I just happened to walk by them and I was like, we can't keep them like that.
Word on the
Is there
street
any
is there's
class
mushrooms
in
growing.
at the high school that is doing any sort
Oh.
of that project-based stuff yet?
I don't know if they're doing anything with sanding. I mean, like our kids, especially for, what do y'all call it here?
Sounds like a
Eagle
great
Scout program.
Eagles project.
Yeah, scouting.
Scout.
Eagle Scout project.
Mhm.
If there's any potential Eagle Scouts that are trying to get there.
Yeah.
We need a wood shop class.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
You can come teach it.
Mhm.
Wood shop in 7th grade.
I don't, what is the financial for Florida? I want to say Keys money, but I know that's not what it is here. What is it that students get for college?
Oh,
Oh,
bright
bright
futures.
Bright futures.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I know they have hours for that.
Yes, they
Yeah.
do. Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of speaking of that though, I am meeting with Allison Franks for the incubator to also talk about kids doing our announcements every week instead of us putting out the weekly. So I could ask her to say, hey, do you know of any kids that need
Yeah.
hours?
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah, that'd be
that.
great.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so I'll start there and I'll let you know what else I come up with. And then unrelated to grant writing, but we seem to be forming kind of an ad hoc data committee as well. So Stephen and Scott, Scott's not on, but I need to put some time on the calendar for us to chat about that. And if we've got any other data nerds in the audience who want to lend their analysis skills, come on down. Keep you posted.
Have fun. And jumping in a Power BI, all off beat.
Love me some Power BI.
I do too, actually. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Yeah, and that was all I had for my committees.
All right. I think it's over to you, Stacy. You want to close this out?
Awesome. Well, I'm excited to hear that we're wrapping up our round 1 of PM1. Kudos to everybody and all the extra time to get that in. I know that takes a lot of outside classroom time to make that happen. The one thing I would put on everybody's kind of agenda is to, I think by the end of the week, we might even have a little bit of a storm on Friday. So think about, being in the car line a little early in case we need to be picked up a little bit earlier, right? Like let's do a little prep there. But keep up the great work. I didn't get John still here on here. No, he's not. I'll have to shout him out another. Oh, he's still here. The shout out of the teacher recognition in your newsletter this week just brought joy to my heart on that, John. So thank you for really recognizing the teachers who are going above and beyond. And I just thought that was a great piece from you. So thank you for doing that. That is it. Thank you for digging in with the audit with us tonight, and have a wonderful week.
Excellent. Okay, so we will adjourn at 7:50. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.